So the second task in the zombie assignment is to look at some of the vocabulary that we've been using. I've already used in my last video words like apocalyptic, but we need to sort of sit down and have a bit of a think about those words so that we know what they are when we hear them, and also so that we can use them effectively. So what you've got on your assignment sheet is a list of some of the words that will come up throughout the course. And what I'm going to do in this video is quickly give you an example of how to use that word in a sentence. Your task will then be to actually write down 2 examples of sentences that use that word and make sure you understand what the word really means. Okay, so the first word that we've got on the sheet is apocalyptic. And apocalyptic just means any sort of major event, usually a major world event, but it can be sort of a small localized event that pretty much destroys everything. And the idea is that things aren't the same after an apocalyptic event. So, for example, you would use it like the nuclear bomb that hit Chernobyl was an apocalyptic event. After an apocalyptic event, humans went back to living in caves. So there's a couple of examples of apocalyptic. Now, post-apocalyptic actually talks about what happens in the world after that apocalyptic event. One of my favourite genres of books when I read are post-apocalyptic books. So books like Hunger Games and Divergent all take place in a world that has been dramatically changed. So for post-apocalyptic, you could write a sentence like, in a post-apocalyptic world, we wouldn't have any electricity. Okay, I've just got my list of words on my phone, which is why I'm looking down a lot. The third word is epidemic. Now, an epidemic is a disease or an outbreak that spreads over a large area. So we often hear things about flu epidemics, and there was a bird flu one a few years ago, and the Ebola epidemic, where things spread quickly and rapidly, and it's usually a disease. You've also got another word called pandemic, and pandemic means that it's actually spreading worldwide. So like I said, you could come up with sentences like, last year there was a bad flu epidemic and lots of people got sick. The next word on the list is quarantine. Quarantine means to keep separate or to isolate for a period of time, usually to check that there are no diseases or conditions in that object or person or animal or whatever it was that was being isolated. Whenever you bring animals into Australia, they have to be kept under quarantine for a period of time to make sure they don't have diseases like rabies. So sentences like the man was kept in quarantine when he came back from Africa so that they could check he didn't have Ebola. Okay, the next word is catastrophe. So catastrophe is another, it's sort of, I guess, like apocalypse, but not as bad. So a catastrophe is a major event or a large event that causes pain or damage. So we tend to use it for anything these days. So it is a catastrophe that maths was cancelled today. Or it was a catastrophe when I sprained my ankle on the way to football training. But it does originally sort of mean a sort of larger disastrous event. The next word is cachet or cache, which is spelt C-A-C-H-E, and it means sort of a supply, a hidden supply usually of stuff. It can be money, it can be food, it can be weapons. Typically they are things that are sort of survival type items or things that you would want to keep and you don't want other people to get to. And as I said, it's usually hidden away. So my cache of chocolate is in the pantry so that my son won't see it. Or they hid the cache of weapons under the old oak tree. So it can be used for a variety of different ways. The next word is scavenging. So scavenging means to sort of pick up or look for items, to search for and collect usable things that were discarded. So things that other people perhaps don't use or don't want, and you come along and collect them, or maybe they haven't been found. So often in zombie films, you'll talk about people, or you'll hear people talking about going scavenging for food and weapons and supplies. So it's that looking for items and looking for things that you can use that maybe other people haven't. So I was scavenging around the backyard to look for a shovel. I was scavenging through the classroom bin to find the pencil I lost. So number 8 is ration. So ration is when you have a supply of food or water or a supply of anything really, and you have to monitor how it's being used. And usually you spread it out slowly, you share it amongst the people that are there. You've probably heard the term army ration packs or war ration packs, where they've got a certain amount of food and they have to make it last for a certain period of time. So for example, I was going to ration out the chocolate in my work drawer to make sure that all my students had some. Okay, the next word, the last word, is survival. And survival means the act of surviving, being able to survive. And we usually use the word survival when we're talking about conditions that are difficult to survive in. So obviously we're looking at zombie films and the survival of people in the zombie films. So his survival was based on his ability to find food and water. Okay, so what we have there, I've given you a bit of a description as well of all the words, as well as using them in a sentence. Obviously, I'd like you to use the words in your own sentences as well, but hopefully this video has helped you hear the word and understand a little bit more about how it's used and what it means. Thank you.